The sun rose over Pineview Meadows, a gated community in suburban Austin, Texas, where every lawn was a uniform 2.5 inches, every mailbox a dull beige, and every deviation from the HOA's 75-page rulebook met with swift punishment. Laura Bennett, a 38-year-old single mom and graphic designer, stood in her backyard, watching her 6 chickens, Henrietta, Cluck Norris, Agatha, Feather Locklear, Benedict, and Omelette, cluck contentedly in their custom-built coop, painted with sunflowers by her 14-year-old daughter, Sophie. The chickens weren't just pets, they were Sophie's 4-H project, supplying eggs for the local farmers market and funding her college dreams. But at 10:32 a.m., Laura found a violation notice taped to her front door, signed by Victor Cromwell, the HOA president. Remove all livestock by 5 p.m. tomorrow or face a $500 fine, it read, citing Rule 22.4, no livestock permitted on residential properties. Laura's blood boiled. She'd moved to Pineview 3 years ago, lured by its family-friendly vibe, only to discover Victor's reign of terror. A retired insurance adjuster with a comb-over and a penchant for clipboards, Victor treated Pineview like his personal fiefdom. He'd find residents for everything: too tall grass, unapproved mailbox colors, even a kid's lemonade stand. Laura crumpled the notice, her hands shaking. "They're not livestock," she muttered. "They're family." She called Sophie, who was at school, sketching chicken logos for their egg business. "Mom, they can't do this," Sophie cried. "Cluck Norris is a legend." Sophie's Instagram, @Pineview Poultry, had 5,000 followers who adored her chicken reels. Laura decided to fight. She texted her neighbors, the Pineview Rebels, a group forged over shared HOA grievances. Marcus Reed, a 45-year-old carpenter, fined for his unsightly toolbox. Mrs. Evelyn Harper, a 70-year-old retired baker who'd been cited for her overly fragrant herb garden. Priya Patel, a 32-year-old tech founder fighting Victor's ban on her solar panels. And Carlos Mendez, a 20-year-old barista whose skateboard ramp had earned a $200 fine. The rebels gathered in Laura's kitchen, the smell of coffee mixing with the faint cluck of hens outside. Laura held up the notice. "Victor's gone too far. These chickens are Sophie's future." Marcus, his calloused hands gripping a mug, nodded. "He fined me for my truck's oil stain. I'm done with his nonsense." Evelyn, her silver hair tied in a bun, smirked. "Back in my day, we'd have tarred and feathered a tyrant like Victor." Priya, scrolling through the HOA bylaws on her tablet, raised an eyebrow. "Rule 22.4 doesn't define livestock. We could argue chickens are pets." Carlos, filming the meeting for his YouTube channel, grinned. "Let's go viral. #chicken conspiracy." Sophie burst in, her backpack slung over one shoulder. "What if we get everyone to get chickens?" she said, eyes sparkling. "Like make Pineview the chicken capital of Texas." The room erupted in laughter, but Laura saw the genius in it. "If we all have coops, Victor can't find us all," she said. Marcus offered to build coops, Priya pledged to fund feed, and Evelyn promised egg recipes. Carlos suggested a social media blitz to rally the neighborhood. Victor, meanwhile, was plotting. In his pristine home office, surrounded by framed HOA awards, he typed a memo to his board. Barbara, a nosy retiree, Ted, a former accountant, and Linda, a yoga instructor with a vendetta against clutter. "The Bennetts are inciting chaos," he wrote. "We must act swiftly." He called an emergency HOA meeting at the clubhouse, a sterile building with plastic ferns and a flickering exit sign. Standing at the podium, his tie strangling his neck, Victor declared, "Chickens bring disease, noise, and plummeting property values. Rule 22.4 is clear." His loyalists clapped, but whispers of dissent rippled through the crowd. The rebels crashed the meeting. Laura, clutching a chicken-shaped mug, strode to the microphone. "These hens are our pets, our livelihood," she said, her voice steady. "You can't fine us for living." Sophie, live streaming on Instagram, panned to the crowd, where neighbors nodded. Marcus shouted, "What's next, Victor? Banning dogs?" The room erupted, half cheering, half jeering. Victor's face turned beet red. "This is anarchy," he sputtered. Sophie's live stream hit 10,000 views with comments like, "Cluck Victor" and "Save the chickens." That night, under a starry Texas sky, the rebels struck. Marcus hauled lumber from his garage, building 3 coops for willing neighbors.
Priya ordered a pallet of chicken feed from Amazon. Carlos posted a reel of Clucksville strutting, captioned #ChickenConspiracy. Evelyn slipped egg muffins into mailboxes, whispering, "Join the fight." By dawn, Pineview had 6 new coops, their hens clucking defiantly. Sophie's reel hit 50,000 views, and neighbors like the Shine Nguyen family added a coop, painted with stars. Victor woke to chaos. His pristine cul-de-sac sounded like a barnyard. He stormed to Laura's house, a stack of violation notices in hand. "You've gone too far, Bennett," he hissed, his comb-over flapping in the breeze. Laura, petting Henrietta on her porch, smiled sweetly. "Oh, Victor, the feathers are just starting to fly."
Victor Cromwell's office was a shrine to order, polished desk, alphabetized files, and a framed photo of Pineview's Best Community Award from 2019. The clucking outside his window was a personal insult. He hadn't spent 15 years shaping Pineview into a suburban utopia to let Laura Bennett and her teenage daughter turn it into a barnyard. Slamming his fist on the desk, he typed furiously, issuing $300 fines to every household with a coop, citing Rule 22.4. "This ends now," he muttered, envisioning a chicken-free Pineview by week's end. Laura, in her cozy living room, stared at the new fine taped to her door. Her heart sank, not for the money, but for Sophie, who was upstairs editing a reel of Cluck Norris chasing a butterfly. "They're trying to scare us," she told the Pineview Rebels, gathered around her dining table, its surface cluttered with coffee mugs and Evelyn's egg muffins. Marcus, his flannel shirt rolled up, scoffed. "Victor's a bully. My grandpa kept chickens in worse places than this." Evelyn, stirring her tea, smirked. "He's got no idea what's coming." Priya, her laptop open, pointed to the bylaws. Rule 22.4 is vague. Livestock could mean cows, not chickens. We can call this a Pineview agricultural project. Community projects are exempt under Rule 15.2. Sophie bounded downstairs, phone in hand. "My reel's at 100,000 views," she announced. "People are calling Victor Chicken Hitler." Carlos, editing a YouTube vlog, laughed. "Let's make it viral. #ChickenConspiracy is blowing up." Laura nodded, her resolve hardening. "We need more coops. Show Victor we're not backing down." Marcus offered to build 5 more. Priya pledged to fund feed and straw. And Evelyn suggested a recipe book, Pineview's Excellent Dishes, to win hearts. Carlos proposed a petition to amend the bylaws, and Sophie started an Instagram poll. Should chickens stay in Pineview? Chicken. Victor, meanwhile, called his HOA board, Barbara, Ted, and Linda, to his office. "The Bennetts are a threat to our standards," he said, pacing. Barbara, peering over her glasses, nodded. "Those coops are an eyesore." Ted, crunching numbers, warned, "Fines might not be enough. We need muscle." Linda, sipping kombucha, suggested, "Let's hire a sanitation crew to remove the chickens." Victor grinned, dialing a shady contractor, Mitch, who promised to clean up for $5,000. Victor also ordered motion sensor cameras to catch vandalism, turning Pineview into a surveillance state. The rebels struck first. Marcus worked through the night, hammering coops for the Nagin family, the Garcias, and old Mr. Thompson, who'd never liked Victor. Priya's Amazon delivery arrived, 50 bags of feed stacked in Laura's garage. Sophie's poll hit 80% in favor of chickens with 200,000 views. Carlos posted a reel of kids petting Henrietta, captioned #CluckLove. Evelyn baked 50 egg tarts, leaving them on doorsteps with notes, "Join the Pineview Rebels." By morning, Pineview had 10 coops, their clucks echoing like a battle cry. Victor's sanitation crew rolled in at dawn, a rusty truck loaded with nets and crates. Laura spotted them from her window and texted the rebels. Marcus and Carlos formed a cluck guard, standing arm in arm in front of Laura's coop. Sophie live-streamed, her followers cheering, "Save Cluck Norris." Neighbors joined, chanting, "No chickens, no peace." Mitch, the contractor, scratched his head. "I ain't dealing with this mob," he muttered, driving off. Victor, watching from his porch, clenched his fists. "This isn't over," he growled.
At the second HOA meeting, Victor unveiled a PowerPoint, The Chicken Crisis, with slides of disease risks and a dubious study claiming chickens cut property values by 12%. "We must protect Pineview," he shouted. Laura stood, holding Sophie's petition now at 2,000 signatures. "You're not protecting us, you're bullying us," she said. Evelyn, in a chicken print apron, added, "You find my herbs for smelling too strong. You're a tyrant." The room split, half cheering, half booing. Sophie's live stream hit 500,000 views with comments like, "Victor's done." That night, someone, nobody knew who, spray-painted "Cluck off Victor" on the clubhouse wall. Victor called his lawyer, Diane Kessler, a sharp-tongued attorney who'd won HOA cases before. She sent cease and desist letters to every rebel, threatening lawsuits for public nuisance. Laura, reading the letter, felt a chill but refused to waver. "We're nominating Evelyn for HOA secretary," she told the rebels. "We'll fight from the inside." Sophie posted a reel. "Victor wants our chickens gone. Let's cluck louder. #chicken conspiracy."
Victor Cromwell's cameras blinked red across Pineview Meadows, their lenses trained on every coop. He sat in his office, scrolling through grainy footage, desperate to catch the rebels in the act. The spray-painted "Cluck off, Victor" on the clubhouse haunted him, a dent in his perfect facade. "They think they can mock me," he muttered, sipping black coffee. His phone buzzed with a text from Diane Kessler. "Injunction filed. Court date next week." Victor smirked, imagining Laura's chickens carted away. Laura, meanwhile, stood in her backyard, watching Sophie toss corn to Cluck Norris. The #chicken conspiracy had hit 1 million views, with strangers commenting, "Pineview's my hero," and "HOA tyrants suck." Laura called the rebels to her living room, where Priya revealed a bombshell. Victor spent $25,000 on consulting fees to his buddy's company. "I've filed for a state audit." Evelyn cackled. "That'll ruffle his feathers." Marcus, sanding a coop frame, suggested, "Let's keep the pressure on. More coops, more noise." Carlos, editing a reel, grinned. "I can jam those cameras, loop a feed of an empty street." Sophie burst in, her phone glowing. "A news station wants to cover us," she said. "They're calling it Texas Feathered Rebellion." Laura nodded. "Let's make Pineview a spectacle." Priya proposed a Pineview Begfest, a community event to legitimize the coops under the bylaw loophole. Evelyn offered to bake egg-themed pies, Marcus planned coop tours, and Carlos rigged speakers to play clucking sounds whenever Victor patrolled. Sophie designed flyers, proclaiming, "Join the Eggfest, save our hens." The Eggfest launched at dusk, with 15 coops glowing under string lights. Kids painted eggs, neighbors toured coops, and Evelyn's pies vanished in minutes. Sophie live-streamed, her followers hitting 2 million. A news station arrived, filming Laura explaining, "These chickens are our community, not a nuisance." The reporter, a young woman named Tara, aired the story, dubbing Pineview Clucksville. The hashtag trended nationally, with ex-users sharing their own HOA horror stories. Victor's sanitation crew returned, led by Mitch, who'd been promised a bonus. But Carlos had hacked the cameras, looping footage of a quiet street. The rebels formed a cluck guard, blocking Mitch's truck. Laura stood at the front, arms crossed. "You touch one feather, you're done," she said. Neighbors chanted, "Save our hens." Sophie's livestream hit 3 million views, with comments like, "Clucksville rules." Mitch, sweating, drove off. "Crazy Texans," he muttered. Victor, watching the news, threw his remote. "They're making me a laughingstock," he shouted. He called Diane, demanding escalation. She filed an injunction against the Eggfest, citing noise violations and public disturbance. The court date was set for Monday. Laura, hearing the news, rallied the rebels. "We're not just fighting for chickens, we're fighting for our homes." Priya suggested nominating Evelyn for HOA secretary to infiltrate the board. Evelyn, sipping tea, grinned. "I've got 70 years of sass to bring to that table." The rebels organized a chicken parade to keep morale high.
Marcus built wheeled coops, Sophie blasted Sweet Caroline from a boombox, and neighbors marched waving egg-themed signs. Kids in chicken costumes danced, and Carlos filmed a reel that hit 5 million views. Tourists flocked to Pineview, snapping photos of coops painted with stars and sunflowers. Victor, peering from his window, saw his empire crumbling. He spread flyers calling Laura a barnyard anarchist, but the audit loomed, and his loyalists wavered. Barbara confided to Evelyn, "I'm tired of Victor's tantrums."
The Travis County courtroom buzzed with tension, its wooden benches packed with Pineview residents. Laura, Sophie, Marcus, Evelyn, Priya, and Carlos wore chicken-shaped pins, their faces defiant. Victor and Diane Kessler sat at the plaintiff's table, a stack of legal binders before them. Judge Elena Ruiz, a no-nonsense Texan with a reputation for fairness, scanned the case file. Pineview HOA versus the Eggcest. She raised an eyebrow. Chickens, huh? Let's hear it. Priya, acting as the Rebels pro bono counsel, opened with a flourish. The HOA's rules are vague and oppressive, she said, projecting the bylaws on a screen. Rule 22.4 doesn't define livestock, and our chickens are pets for a community project, exempt under Rule 15.2. She submitted evidence of Victor's $25,000 in questionable spending, drawing gasps. Laura took the stand, her voice steady but emotional. "These chickens are my daughter's future," she said, glancing at Sophie. "They're not a nuisance, they're our community." Sophie testified next, her ponytail bouncing. "Cluck Norris isn't just the chicken," she said, holding up her phone with a reel at 7 million views. "He's a symbol of fighting back. Pineview's alive because of us." The gallery cheered, earning a gavel bang from Ruiz. Marcus spoke of his coops, Evelyn of her pies, and Carlos of the viral movement. Priya's audit evidence landed like a bomb. Victor's face paled as Ruiz demanded an explanation. Victor took the stand, his comb-over slick with sweat. "Chickens are a health hazard," he stammered, citing a study about barnyard diseases. Diane argued the Egg Fest violated noise ordinances, but Ruiz wasn't impressed. "I see a community celebrating, not a riot," she said. She dismissed the injunction, ordered an immediate audit, and suspended all chicken fines pending a bylaw vote. The rebels erupted in cheers, hugging outside the courthouse. Victor, humiliated, spread rumors that Laura was turning Pineview into a chicken slum. But the audit news spread faster, and Barbara defected, whispering to Evelyn, "I'm done with him." The rebels threw an extravaganza block party, with coop tours, egg tosses, and Sophie's reels hitting 10 million views. Laura nominated Evelyn for HOA secretary, and Priya drafted new bylaws allowing sustainable pets. Victor, cornered, planned a final stand at the election. Election day loomed in Pineview Meadows, the air thick with anticipation. Laura stood on her porch, watching Sophie paint a "Cluck for Change" sign. The audit had exposed Victor's $30,000 in shady spending, including payments to his cousin's consulting firm. His loyalists, Ted and Linda, wavered, and Barbara openly backed Evelyn for HOA secretary. Sophie's #chicken conspiracy hit 15 million views, with reels showing kids petting hens and neighbors building coops. "We're winning," Sophie said, her phone buzzing with notifications. Laura rallied the rebels in her backyard, the coops glowing under fairy lights. "Evelyn's our ticket to change," she said. Priya unveiled new bylaws, allowing chickens and mandating financial transparency. Marcus designed posters, and Carlos hacked the HOA's newsletter, replacing Victor's warnings with Eggfest photos. Evelyn, in a chicken-themed scarf, went door to door, her sass winning over skeptics. "Victor's finished," she told Mr. Thompson, who'd added a coop shaped like a barn. Victor, holed up in his office, felt the walls closing in. His flyers, calling Laura a chicken extremist, backfired. Neighbors tossed them in recycling bins. Diane Kessler advised him to concede, but Victor refused. "I built this community," he snapped, plotting a smear campaign. He posted anonymous X rants, accusing the rebels of anarchy. But Sophie's reels drowned him out, with celebrities retweeting #Clucksville. Election day arrived and Pineview turned out in droves. Sophie set up a voting booth with chicken balloons, blasting "Ain't No Mountain High Enough." Laura handed out Evelyn's campaign flyers while Carlos filmed a live count. Evelyn won by landslide, and the new bylaws passed, allowing sustainable pets and open HOA meetings. Victor, defeated, packed his office, his clipboard abandoned. Pineview transformed into Clucksville, USA, a tourist hotspot for coop tours. Laura's hens, led by Cluck Norris, got a plaque, "The Chickens That Changed Pineview." Sophie's egg business thrived, funding her college applications. Evelyn, as HOA secretary, ensured fair spending, and the Rebels ran the board, hosting annual egg fests. Victor moved to a condo in Dallas, his tyranny forgotten. Laura watched Sophie feed Henrietta, her heart full. "We did it," she whispered. Pineview clucked on, a testament to community over control.